Hey guys, welcome back to the Life of Lex, a podcast where I'm doing it for the culture. I'm your host, Alex or Lex. Thank you guys for listening. This is take 2 of recording this because I got interrupted. I used to record in the morning and now I've switched to recording in the afternoon, which isn't the greatest switch, but I've just been so tired in the morning and recording has not been a thing. I hope you guys have all been having a great couple of weeks. I know it's been a minute since I uploaded a new episode. It's really only been a week, but it's been 2 weeks because, today's Saturday. But I hope you guys have all been having a great week. I hope you guys have all been enjoying yourselves. I hope you guys have been enjoying your summer, hopefully living it up, doing whatever you want to do, whether that's sleeping, whether that's turning up, whatever you like to do with your life. I hope you've been able to do a lot of that this summer because it's already August, guys. August is coming up really soon. It's not August yet, but in like 3 more days, it's going to be August. And that means you guys already know what that means. It's time to go back to school, okay? Or for those of y'all who are just working individuals, well, I guess work is going to continue. But yes, I have been doing pretty well. I have been enjoying my summer. I've just been doing a lot of things, trying to step back from social media a little bit and kind of just get out and do like outside activities. I talked about this in a couple of other podcasts. So it's been nice to just be doing that, getting some vitamin D. It really does help with depression. So I really suggest it to anybody who is feeling depressed. Get out of your house, even if you just hang out with yourself. I mean, go to the movies. Like, I feel like that's the easiest, self hangout spot because you don't have to talk. You don't have to do anything. It doesn't look weird. Nobody's going to be like, oh, you're here at the movies sitting alone. Like, that doesn't happen because it's a movie and no one's talking anyways. At least they shouldn't be. So that's my advice to you guys. If you need a good self activity, go to the movies. I do have a few announcements pertaining to the podcast, so I'm just going to get right on into the announcements. So the first announcement that I have, and you may have seen this if you follow me on Instagram and or Twitter, the podcast, The Life of Lex, is now on Spotify. So you guys can listen on Spotify. You can search the podcast. All of the episodes are there. So that's pretty exciting because I've been waiting about 2 months or so now for that to be finished and uploaded. And so it's about time that Spotify was like, yes, we gonna approve you. I'm not sure why it took so long for my podcast in particular. Because I feel like other people have tried to get their podcasts on Spotify and it took like 2 days. And for some reason, it definitely took my podcast almost 2 months. So now you guys can go listen on Spotify. Just search up the Life of Lex podcast or even the Life of Lex and the podcast will come up. And it is the one with the pink. You guys know. You know what my little logo is, okay? If you're listening, then you already know what the logo is. And you will find it. The other thing that I've been getting a lot of questions about is what happened to the podcast on SoundCloud. And the long short of it is I stopped subscribing to SoundCloud Pro because I didn't want to pay for Libsyn hosting and SoundCloud hosting along with other subscriptions. That's just a lot of money for a college student. So I knocked SoundCloud off. And what I was originally going to do was go back and delete the older episodes so you guys could still have the newer few episodes, like maybe 2 or 3 of the newest episodes still on SoundCloud for you guys. But it got kind of overwhelming with everything with the podcast, so I never really even got around to that. And that's actually going to bring me to point 3 in a minute. But the podcast is going to be back on SoundCloud. This week's episode will be uploaded. I did delete the previous episodes that were there, so now you guys can get the newest episode. So if you are interested in listening on SoundCloud, you will be able to get this episode on there this week. I'm sorry to anybody who was a little upset. For SoundCloud though, like I said, you guys will only probably be getting 2 or 3 weeks worth of episodes because I don't have a pro plan, which means I can only upload like 3 hours of time before they're like, nope. So I'm going to have to go back and delete the older episodes. But if you guys would like to listen to any back episodes that are not on SoundCloud, for my SoundCloud listeners, you can always visit the podcast website at thelifeoflex.libsyn.com, as well as you can check out Apple Podcasts, Spotify. But I know that if you're listening on SoundCloud, you might not want to use those streaming services. So anyways, I do want to also just touch really quickly on the fact that I do stream the audio to the podcast on YouTube. I know I haven't really talked about this a lot, so a lot of people have no idea, and that's my bad. But the audio is also streaming on YouTube. I know some people don't like to use any streaming softwares or download anything onto their phone. And so if you are a person who falls into that category, or maybe you know somebody who's like, ooh, I would love to listen to the podcast, but I am not downloading anything, you can let them know that the audio is streaming on YouTube, and you can search up the Life of Lex podcast, or even just like I said, the Life of Lex, and it should come up right there. Also, alternatively, you can search up Alexandra Addison, which is my name, and the podcast can pop up from there. So just wanted to make it clear that those 3 areas, the podcast is going to be streamed, as well as, of course, Libsyn and Apple Podcasts and all of the other regular streaming services that I stream this podcast on. So just wanted to make that clear. So now one last announcement about the uploading schedule of this podcast. So through a lot of careful thought, through a lot of thinking and observation, I have come to the conclusion that for this podcast, I am going to be doing this on a bi-weekly schedule now. For those of you guys who are like weekly listeners, who are like really into this, you know that I do an episode a week typically, but it has come to a point where it is it's a lot of work on the back end to try to do a weekly episode with no kind of help on this. And I'm not saying that I feel like I'm entitled to help or anything like that. No. This is my passion project. It's absolutely me doing everything, which is totally fine, because I'm also a person who's like low-key a perfectionist. I like things done a certain way. I don't typically like it when other people do stuff for me, but it is just getting to a point where I'm finding that it is really, really, really hard to keep up with recording, editing, making social media promotions, uploading, being interactive, once again, promoting constantly. Like, it's getting very hard to do that when I'm uploading weekly episodes. And I'm finding that with each episode, I'm not able to really promote them as heavily as I would like to. And then I'm uploading another one before the one that I even just uploaded is really getting out there and getting promoted. So I'm finding that it's actually going to probably be better to go on a bi-weekly schedule, because that way I have time to still promote on all my social media channels. I have time to create the posts and be interactive. I have time to kind of really make sure that the episodes are getting out there before I'm uploading a new episode. There's a lot that kind of goes into podcasting on the back end, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. And being that I don't have an intern or a team or any kind of help, it's just me doing this all by myself. And of course, because of that, it is really, really hard to get it all done. So as of right now, I think the bi-weekly schedule is going to work out for me. It's going to make it so that I am able to continue to bring you guys good content. And that's another thing too, is that I've been finding that I've just been rushing to get out episodes rather than really, really taking the time and effort to promote them and to get them out there. And I'm finding that, you know, since I started using Instagram, I'm like more heavily focusing on promoting there, but then I'm kind of slacking on promoting on Tumblr and Twitter or whatever the case may be. And I really don't want that. I want to be able to spend time on each social media channel, because I know that on each of my channels, I've had people come in to listen. And so I want to make sure that I'm not slacking off in one channel, but promoting heavily on another channel. I want to still make sure that I'm able to make social media posts and get people listening from all channels. So I think this is going to work out a lot better for me with doing this. It's not going to feel so overwhelming. And I think for you guys, it's going to work too, because I think that it's a lot. I think the episodes are coming out really close together, and it's kind of hard to listen to all of them unless you're like on top of it. But I feel like if you're behind, then it gets more difficult to try to listen to all the back episodes. So I hope that this change is welcomed by most of you. If anyone is going to be upset, I do apologize. As I said, I don't have a team, and I do hope maybe in the future that I'll be able to afford to hire somebody. Like, I do not believe in like unpaid internships. I think it's not nice to have someone doing tons of work and just not paying them anything. I don't personally agree with it. So in the future, hopefully I can afford to pay somebody to be like a helper or an assistant on the podcast to help with the production. But as of right now, being that I'm doing everything, I know that school is going to be starting up soon, and then I'm going to have school, other things that I want to do, just like activities, and then the podcast as well. It's just going to be a lot to try to do all three of them and have everything done in 1 week. So hope everybody understands. I apologize if anyone's going to be very upset, but don't you worry, guys. Good content is still going to be coming your way. And I personally think that every episode is going to be more thought out and more quality, because I'm going to be actually like spending more time to try to perfect what I'm putting out to you guys every 2 weeks or every other week. So that is that. And last but not least, on updates, I know the updates are kind of a little long this week, so you can definitely fast forward if you don't really care, but I would suggest listening. The last update is that, or this isn't really an update, this is just an every week thing that I say. Please, please, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave ratings and reviews. Please subscribe, because these all really, 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 really help the podcast to grow. The way that I'm finding out what you guys like, what you guys don't like, is through your feedback. And a lot of you guys will listen, but you don't give a lot of feedback, and that doesn't really help me. You know, the only way that I get feedback is if you guys do choose to reach out to me and let me know, or if I notice the numbers every week are growing. That kind of helps me to see, okay, maybe people are liking this, but who even knows, because just because it says that I have a download doesn't mean someone listens. So it's very difficult. So I would love, love, love if you guys could please leave your feedback. Apple Podcasts is the biggest podcast directory out there right now. So that's why I focus so heavily on Apple Podcasts, because the main and biggest and most successful podcasts have a good following and a good amount of listeners through Apple Podcasts. They have a lot of reviews. They have a lot of ratings. That's where people go first to check out podcasts and see who's popping or see who's not so popping. So I would love it if you guys could please help me out with that. It would really, really help me. But that is all I have to say with the announcements. I know that is a lot. So after a couple of seconds of a break, we will get into the episode. Okay, guys, so I have some topics. I thought I wasn't going to have that many topics this week, but as usual, y'all already know I be finding stuff. So let's just talk. Can we talk about MoviePass? So if you guys are a MoviePass subscriber, which I am, you guys saw maybe yesterday that MoviePass was down for maintenance. Well, it turns out that MoviePass was down because they are $5 million in debt, which they ended up having to take out a small loan. Well, I guess small in terms of a company. I guess $5 million is a small loan in terms of like a company or something, because I ain't no small loan for me, honey. They had to take out a loan of $5 million, and they have to start paying back this loan by August. So basically what MoviePass is, if you don't know, I've already talked about it. I am not sponsored, but they should sponsor me at this point because I'm giving them so much press. No, I'm joking. But basically with MoviePass, the way that it works is that the movie, you pay either $7.99 or $9.99 a month. $9.99 is to see one movie every single day. $7.99 is you can see 3 movies a month. So whichever one suits you more, I would go with the $9.99. I don't know why you wouldn't just pay the extra dollars and be able to see a movie practically every single day if you want to. So with MoviePass, you're paying the subscription price. You get a little debit card or an e-ticket if your theater supports it. And then what happens is MoviePass on their end is paying the movie theater the full price for the tickets. So essentially MoviePass is always losing money because if they're only getting $9.99 per month from you, but you're going to the movies 31 times a month, that's MoviePass literally paying them well, I know here for a regular 2D movie ticket, it's $13.49. I don't know in other states and other theaters, but I know in like the AMC that I go to, it is $13.49 for a regular movie ticket. So if you're going to the movies 31 times in a month, $13.49 times 31, I don't even know what that answer is, but like MoviePass is losing a ton of money because they're only getting that $9.99 subscription from you, and yet they're still paying every single time you get a ticket. They are paying the movie theater that full price. So the movie theater is not losing any money, but MoviePass is. So really the only way that MoviePass is actually kind of making back some money is through peak pricing, and also through people who maybe are paying for a subscription, but they're not actually going to the movies like that. That's the only way that MoviePass is making money. And to be frankly honest, they're probably not even making a profit. They're probably only breaking even. So I think the only way that MoviePass can really, really, really work for like years to come is if they decide to kind of cut a deal with the theaters, or if they bring in partners that are really gonna kind of give them that capital like backing. Because I think the current model, while it's awesome for us, unfortunately, as we see, MoviePass is $5 million in debt, and they had to shut the service down yesterday because it was so in debt that they were gonna be tanked. So I'm not sure. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they figure something out, because I love MoviePass. I think it's a really good song. Wow, my podcasting voice is not with it today. I think it's a really good idea. I've used it already since I've subscribed this month. I've already used it like 4 times, and it's dope. It works all the time. It's executed perfectly, and I'm paying $9.99, and I already saw, 4 movies this month? I mean, you can do the math. $13.49 times 4 is way more than $9.99. So it's a great service. I hope they have partners that come on with them, or maybe they can cut a deal with the theaters to only pay them 50% of the price. I don't know, but anyways, let's talk about Faith Evans and Stevie Jordan. Okay, so I watch Love and Hip Hop. I know some of you guys are like, ugh, Love and Hip Hop. Listen, it is trashy reality TV, and if there's one thing you should know about me is that I love some reality TV. That's basically all I watch is reality TV, because I love watching train wrecks, okay? My life is boring, so I get to vicariously have like a drama-filled, entertaining life, but through these reality TV stars, and I'm here for that, okay? So Faith Evans and Stevie J got married about probably 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point. It was totally random on Twitter. Stevie J had tweeted, "I love you, Faith Renee Jordan," and then Faith Evans, or Faith Jordan, I guess, she tweeted back and she was like, "I love you back, Stephen Aaron Jordan." And I was just like, what? I didn't see this on Twitter because I don't follow either one of them. I saw it on Instagram, on the Shade Room, because you guys know that's my new favorite news source, the Shade Room. But yeah, so everybody was like, what? Is this real? Like, is Mona trying to, like, is Mona working hard, okay? Like, what is going on? If you don't watch Love and Hip Hop, Mona Scott Young is the executive producer of that show. So people was like, Mona is working, honey. But they did get married. They apparently had like a quickie like ceremony in Vegas in their hotel room, and none of their friends and family was there, and they just got married. And I think this is the year of the PR marriage. I think there's no possible way that this could be a real thing. I think both Stevie and Faith are, they're not really doing much with their careers. I mean, Stevie's on Love and Hip Hop, but is Stevie doing anything? I mean, let's be honest. Stevie has his Danger Zone, and who's part of Danger Zone? Estelita, who can't fucking sing. Okay, do y'all watch Love and Hip Hop? I don't, let me know if y'all watch Love and Hip Hop, because I do. Okay, Atlanta's my favorite one. I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious, but that's the thing that got me too, is that Stevie and Estelita on the show were Estelita, you have Estelita drinking a mimosa with a little robe on, being like, oh my God, you did great, Stevie. And then you have Stevie rubbing her shoulders, but then you have Estelita 2 seconds later it's just business. Me and Stevie aren't in a relationship. It's just business, okay? It's just business. I gotta do what I gotta do to get to the business. Sweetheart can't even sing. Let's not even get started on Estelita, okay? Because she cannot sing. Woo, child, the not talents, okay? But yeah, Estelita, I don't even know. I knew that Estelita and Stevie weren't really, really together, but it's kind of wild that was the Love and Hip Hop storyline. And then we see 2 seconds later, when the season goes off the air, Stevie and Faith are married. And Stevie also had his own little spin-off show from Love and Hip Hop. And on that show, on the first season, Stevie and Faith were dating, but they ended up breaking up because Faith was like, you're a player. And it's just facts, B. Facts. I don't know why Faith Evans would marry Stevie J unless it was a PR stunt. I just cannot see why they would get married. Now they're over here posting their little Snapchat pics. Hashtag the Jordans. Stevie got a tattoo behind his ear of FRJ, which is Faith Renee Jordan. And I'm like, this is real? This is real? What is wrong with Faith Evans? Is she good? You're with Stevie J? Do you know this man? Stevie had an opportunity to be so big, but Stevie let his little pee-pee get in the way, okay? And Stevie let that ruin all his chances of being he could have been a big producer. He could have been big, but Stevie just could not keep it in his pantalones, okay? So I'm not sure what's wrong with Faith Evans. I mean, what is she doing? Who's she dating? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know a lot about Faith Evans, but I would like to think that Faith is pretty respected in the industry, and Stevie? I don't know about that. I think this is also funny because Jocelyn Hernandez, crazy as... can we talk about her for 1 second, actually? She's getting her own show, apparently, on WeTV, and I will be tuning in, okay? Jocelyn Hernandez does one thing really well. She is crazy, okay? And crazy people who are a little not on the same plane of thinking are very entertaining to watch on TV. I'll never understand people who don't like reality TV and their argument is this isn't even reality. I'm who's watching reality TV to see actual people's lives? Us normal people, we don't be doing nothing. Who wants to watch that? We want to watch crazy train wrecks, okay? We're not celebrities who are getting paid to film our lives. So of course this reality is not going to be relatable to us. Of course this reality is not going to be similar to our lives. Okay, if we wanted to see a life full of average Joes, you could just look at your own life. So I am here for it. I'm here to see Jocelyn being insane on TV. I love it, okay? I love it. She's crazy. Would I ever want to be friends with Jocelyn? Hell no. I would not want that girl within a million feet of me. But listen, she's crazy. She makes for good TV, and I'm here for that, okay? But as Jocelyn released some text messages from Stevie, supposedly from Stevie, and they said, Stevie was like, would you consider marrying me? And Jocelyn was like, no, I want a baby daddy who's loyal and faithful. The fuck, Stevie? Sorry, the fuck, Stevie? I can't do a Jocelyn voice, but Stevie was like, okay, fuck you. I never even liked you anyways. Fuck you, bitch. And I was like, whoa, this went from 0 to 100. Now, granted, this was just a screenshot, and we have no idea if this was from Stevie or not. It could have literally been her changing the name in her phone to make it look like Stevie. Listen, I don't know. I could picture Jocelyn to be a person to literally like change the name in her phone to make it look like Stevie. Okay. But I don't know, man. Faith Evans and Stevie J, what is this shenanigans? Okay, let's talk about Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra, because they're also getting engaged. Now, if you guys know anything about me, I think Nick Jonas is the finest white boy living. Okay, I don't even like white boys like that, but Nick Jonas, mans could get it, okay? He could get it. He is engaged to Priyanka Chopra. Is that how you say her name, Priyanka? I'm not exactly sure if I'm saying her name correctly, and I do highly apologize if I'm not. But their engagement is a little strange for some reasons, and it's also rumored that this is another PR stunt because Priyanka is 36 years old and Nick is 25. Now, I get it. They're both adults. Listen, you cannot convince me in life that an age difference over 5 years is like legit. Like, you cannot convince me in life that two people who have an age difference over 5 years can really get along. I just don't believe it. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. You guys can say whatever you want. Don't give me stories about how your grandma and your grandpa are 15 years apart and they're happy together. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. I just don't believe that an age difference over 5 years, even if you're adults, I just don't believe that it can work. It's my personal opinion. Y'all ain't gonna change it, okay? But she's 36 and he's 25, which is a very odd age difference for me because 36 is nearing on 40, whereas 25 is like your mid-20s. Like, you still have 5 more years before you're even gonna hit 30. So she's gonna be like well into her 40s while he's still not even hitting 30 yet, which is just weird to me. They've only been dating for 2 months and they're already engaged. People are speculating that it's because they're both religious and she might be pregnant, which sounds viable. Others are speculating it's just a PR stunt because both of their careers need some buzz, which I think is weird. I don't know. Like, I feel like the Jonas Brothers have been they've been in the media, but they're not like popular, if that makes sense. Like, you know who they are because they had like that Disney Channel career, but like they're not popular per se. Like, no one's checking for the Jonas Brothers like that. And then Priyanka, she was popular over in them Bollywood streets, but she came over here and I don't know what's happening, but it is definitely very hard for, actresses and singers from different countries to come over here and break out into this market. So I'm not going to comment on that or blame that on her because it is very difficult. But I just think that's a very weird relationship. And are they going to actually get married? Dun dun dun. I mean, Nick Jonas was with Olivia Culpo. I don't know how you say her name, for 2 years. And they were not engaged. But now he's engaged to Priyanka after 2 months. Shit just don't add up. It don't add up. But whatever. I'm telling you, these PR stunt marriages, y'all gonna catch on one day, okay? Mark my words. Faith and Stevie are a PR stunt. Mona, okay, she's just trying to she's just trying to cash her check, honey. That's all Mona's trying to do. Mona Scott Young. Okay, Rugrats is coming back, which is pretty exciting. They're coming back with 26 episodes and a movie. So I'm not really sure how that's going to work, being that they had all grown up. Like, how are they going to turn back into babies again? Like, I'm not sure how they're going to position that. Unless they started off with all grown up and they have like Tommy daydreaming and Tommy's like, oh yeah, I remember when I was a kid. And then the whole show is like them being babies, but it's the daydream. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when in movies, I hope this makes sense. In like a movie, like someone will have a daydream and then the whole movie is the daydream. And then at the end of the movie, they'll be like, and that's my story, and then walk away. So it's like weird. I think that is the only way that I can imagine it working. Or maybe it'll start off with them really, really old, and then they have like a flashback to when they were kids, and then the whole 26 episodes is just like flashbacks from when they were kids. And then in the last episode of Rugrats, they'll be like, how I miss those days, or something like that. They should have me on the writing team, okay? Because I know what I'm doing here. Sade is releasing a new album, so for all my neo soul babies out there, I'm pretty excited for that. Sade, that's bae. Um, let's talk about Nia Wilson. Okay, I for one am tired of Black women not being able to live our lives. If you don't know the Nia Wilson story already, you live under a rock. Long short of it, Nia Wilson was getting on the BART transportation system. I believe it's in Oakland. She got stabbed by a white man many, many times until she was killed. And there was no reason why she got stabbed. It was just this man was racist and he killed her. And it's just really unfortunate to me that these kinds of things are still happening. But it's actually more unfortunate to me that people really have the nerve and the audacity to say that that racism and prejudice towards Black people does not exist. I think that every single Black person can have that same feeling that you're going to walk outside and there might be some white supremacist, trigger happy, or, some white supremacist killer who might just come and kill you. And it's very scary. It's very nerve-wracking. I don't think that anyone else can relate to, when you see a cop, you automatically feel a little scared. Even if you're not doing anything, you just feel a little nervous because you know that there's just all this prejudice and anger put on you that you may not make it. And I think it's so nerve-wracking. I think it's also clear that a lot of people don't realize that Black women are the targets of these hate crimes just as much as Black men. I think there's a lot of focus in the media on Black men, Black men, Black men. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be focus on Black men because this is astronomically high in the Black community in general. But I just want everybody to remember that Black women are also being killed, that Black women are also being targeted, that Black women are also, are just, like I said, this is happening to Black women as well. It's not just men. It's not just adults. It's not just this is happening to kids. This poor girl was 18 years old. I mean, imagine being an 18-year-old waiting at a train and getting stabbed to death. Like, it hurts my soul. Like, she didn't even get to start her life yet. 18 years old. Like, that's the beginning of your life, really. And she doesn't have her life anymore. And it's heartbreaking. Like, it really is heartbreaking. To all Black people, I say, be careful. Like, really be careful. Be aware of your surroundings. If you feel uncomfortable somewhere, leave. I don't care. Honey, there's been many times where I've been in an area and I felt uncomfortable and I was like, I'm out of here. Like, I'm just going to leave because I don't feel good here. Like, if you're out in public, I don't care if you're waiting for a train. If you're standing near a group of people and you feel uncomfortable near the group of people, move. I do that all the time when I'm standing at the train station. Like, I'll be standing in one spot, be like, I'm not feeling these people over here, and move, because you never know who's there and who's around you and what they're planning to do. And just trust your intuition. If something feels off, if something feels weird, then you gotta really make sure to stay safe, because this stuff is happening all the time and it's really scary. It's genuinely really, really scary. Shonda Rhimes is adding 8 new shows to Netflix. I'm not sure quite what the shows are going to be yet, but Miss Shonda makes a good show, okay? I hope she has some Black relationships in the shows, though, because I'm tired of Miss Shonda and her obsession with Black-white relationships. Like, I get it. You love a good interracial relationship, Miss Shonda, but can we get some dark-skinned Black love on these shows? Can we? Can we? Annalise and Nate was my favorite, okay? Yes, but Annalise is a little crazy. Beyonce released pictures of the twins, and when I tell you, them twins look just like her, especially Rumi, the girl, she looks just like baby Beyonce, and she looks like Blue. Blue, Beyonce, and Rumi all have very similar facial features. The twins are adorable. They're very, very cute. And they're big, too. Like, they're really big. I think they're almost a year old now, if I'm not mistaken. So, Beyonce releases things on her own time. Whoever is Beyonce's PR team or her team, they are the people that I need as friends, honey, because their lips are locked. They ain't saying nothing to nobody. So that's good. Tamara Mowry, can we have a moment? Tamara Mowry, I'm gonna need sis to stop talking about her damn interracial relationship, girl. We don't care. We do not care. Okay, I'm tired. Tamara's on some, oh, all that racial shit is really affecting my relationship. I'm like, Tamara, your husband is racist. Like, this is why it's affecting your relationship. He is like a fetishizer. He's very like Adam Housley. Like, he has like a really racist past. There's been like so much dirt uncovered about him. He's not a good guy, okay? And Tamara, like, you could tell she's one of them black women that feels like she won a prize because she's married to a white man. I'm sorry, but we only acknowledge Tia out here in these streets, okay? Miss Tia and Corey Hardrick and their beautiful babies. Yes, I'm here for that, okay? Tamara and her mess that she has going on with that man, girl, we don't talk about that. We don't know her, okay? She don't go here. And, oh, guys, I saw Unfriended this week, and it was insane. I'm gonna put some trigger warnings. If you are gonna see it, just be aware that there is scenes where we see, like, killing, like, hanging, things like that is shown. There's also a lot of talk about, like, rape and, like, kind of rape. Do I say rape? It's like borderline rape. Is it rape? Yes, it's rape. So I'm gonna put a rape trigger warning, a killing trigger warning. If you're very sensitive to any kind of killing, anything like that, it is definitely creepy. It will definitely freak you out. And if you do see Unfriended, let me know so we could talk about it, okay? Because I ain't know nobody who saw it like that yet, and it was traumatizing, I'm gonna be honest. It was a really, really creepy movie. But the worst part about it is that it's based off of the dark web. And this stuff really happens. What happens in the movie is true. And I think that's what the director was trying to show, is that this is what really happens. I think if you watch it from a perspective, you're like, why would he make this the storyline? He or she, I'm not sure. Why would they make this the storyline? And then you have to think about it again, that they're trying to show what really happens on the dark web. So I kind of recommend it, but I kind of don't, because I think it's going to be triggering for like most people. I'm actually surprised that it didn't trigger me as badly as I thought it was going to. It was very creepy. Hive Mind by the Internet is some bops. Okay. It Gets Better with Time is the best song on there. Hold On is a good one. You know who else had a really good album that came out? Santi Gold. Oh my goodness. Don't Blame Me featuring Shenesi, I think is her name. That is a bop, okay, honey? That's a good song. So you guys should go listen to Santi Gold. You guys should go listen to The Internet. Van Jess had a really good album that just came out as well. Go listen to them. I love them. They're very, very good, very talented. I've just been listening to a lot of new music lately. I should make a playlist again, like I used to. I used to make these playlists all the time. I mean, I have playlists. I could post them. I think that's all the little news stories that I have for you guys. And of course, we're hitting 40 minutes. I said this was going to be shorter and it didn't happen. Okay, after a little break, we're going to have our little end lesson of the week in a few seconds. Hey guys, so we're winding down the podcast, but I definitely wanted to take a minute to talk about Minority Mental Health Month. July was Minority Mental Health Month, and I think this is a really good time to kind of bring up the conversation of talking about mental health. If you've listened to my podcasts, if you've followed me on social media, you know I'm a huge, huge advocate for mental health care, especially in the Black community, because as a Black person, I really realize that mental health is something that's often very neglected and has a very heavy stigma around it. There's a lot of stigmatization around getting mental health care. There's a lot of stigmatization around people suffering from mental health issues. There's this belief system that people are crazy, like only crazy people deal with mental health issues, that it's not for some people can't deal with that. A lot of people have the nerve to tell people that their feelings are false and untrue. And it's just really common for people to suffer their whole lives with mental health issues in the Black community because people don't want to get help. A lot of people are too prideful to get help. They're too stuck up in their own belief system that they're okay and that everybody else around them is the problem. And I think that a lot of Black people, especially a lot of us, millennials, I think that we're really becoming more vocal about how a lot of our experiences being Black were really based on abuse, gaslighting, a lot of traumatic experiences. And I think it's great that a lot of people are speaking out more on Black parenting and how it's very toxic to the mindsets of a lot of young Black adults and how it really affected us. I think it's great to see the conversations happening more and more. I think that it's great to see people really understanding and showing that we don't have to deal with anybody, family or not, if they're really, really bringing us down. And I think it's great to see a lot of people distancing and standing up for themselves. I think that I know for myself, I've really been doing a lot of introspection, a lot of uncovering of traumas. I've really been able to notice and recognize that a lot of things that I went through were not okay. I think that a lot of poor treatment in the Black community is just written off as normality. There's all the memes about Black parents and how it's hilarious and, it's basically glorifying abuse. And I get it. The Black community uses humor and laughter to cope. I'm not knocking the memes. I laugh at them myself. But I also, in the back of my head, also realize this is not funny. This is not okay. I think for myself, there was a lot of things that happened to me, a lot of the ways I was treated that I did not realize other people did not get the kind of treatment that I got until I spoke to other people. Until I kind of got to college or until I kind of got out of this environment and I was like, wait a minute, what? I would see other people who miss their parents so much and who had such a close dynamic with them. And when I noticed, I did not miss my parents, I was like, shit, okay, clearly something's wrong here because these people have such a close bond with their family and I don't have that, nor do I even have the desire or feeling for that. I started to realize I was way more comfortable being not around them than being around them. I started to realize that I felt more like myself when I was distanced from them. And it really started to become clear and obvious that their energy and the way they were treating me, the way that they received situations, just even the way that they treated others, the way they handled stress, all of these different things, I really started to realize that was taking a very big toll on me and my energy and myself. And so it was really hard for me to kind of be like, wait, this is the reason why I've had depression for 85,000 years and nothing has changed because I'm not hitting the main factor of why I feel this way. And I think that it was really, really difficult for me because I always kind of felt like I had a problem. I always felt like I was this problem kid who was just so bad and so horrible and I could never live up to some weird standards. I didn't even know what the standards were, but I just always knew that whatever I did wasn't it. And it's it took me a really long time to kind of recognize this isn't my fault. It also took me a really long time to stop making excuses. Because I know for a long time, I would sit and I would make excuses. I'd be like, oh, well, they're just stressed. It's just hard. They're going through a lot. But then I started to realize, I'm not a punching bag for someone else who's going through stress. I'm not a punching bag for my parents. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of Black children, a lot of Black individuals, young adults, kids, even teenagers need to understand is that you're not a punching bag for your family. You're not. Yeah, you can feel sympathetic and empathetic that people are going through stress, and that's hard and difficult. But there's a very big difference between a person going through stress that's kind of struggling and you dealing versus having to deal with rage, anger, constant negativity. That comes to a point where you have to say, that's not my problem to deal with. And I think at the end of the day, it's not the job of Black kids, Black young adults to have to like coddle their parents' feelings or make them feel good about their lives or deal with them if they're exuding so much negative energy that it's bringing you down. You have to realize that all people need to get their own help, and that it's not normal to be someone's punching bag. If somebody is so stressed or having such a hard time in their life that it's causing you to treat you badly, they need to get their own help, because that's not normal. Okay, it's not normal or okay to treat people badly because you're going through your own struggles. And that's what I kind of started to realize, that I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to be a part of that. I started to realize that I'm allowed to say, this is not healthy for me. This is not something that I want to tolerate, and I'm going to have my distance. And it's not a coincidence that I have found myself having much better energy, a much brighter outlook on life, a much better spirits, just feeling confident, feeling inspired. I mean, it's obvious. And I know I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I feel like a lot of Black young adults can relate to this situation with their family, where it's like, it's your parents, and you're supposed to love them, and you're supposed to just do whatever you can. But a lot of people don't recognize that they're being abused, they're being gaslighted, they're being put into a situation where they're made to be a scapegoat. I learned a lot about dysfunctional family roles, and I learned a lot about narcissistic parents and a lot about being a scapegoat. And through all of this, I kind of realized that some people don't do things for the right reasons. Some people love to exert their power over others, and that's why they do things. Some people aren't here for the good sake of their children and for their children to succeed and for them to do well. Some people are genuinely here just to exert power. And once they kind of see another person who has a strong personality, strong willpower, who is very headstrong, that makes them feel insecure because they can't exert that power. And I think that happens to a lot of Black, especially young adults. I'm focusing on young adults because I think this is really the age where you start to kind of see it. I think teenagers to some extent see it, and kids don't really. But I think that, when you're a young adult, you start to kind of really realize, like, if you want to be your own person, I mean, how many Black and minorities in general, like how many Black people or minorities experience backlash from their parents when they try to be their own person? That's not normal. Like I need people to see, like, it's not normal for them to sit here and give you backlash for the life you want to live, or gaslight you by saying, I did all of this for you and this is how you treat me. That's not normal. That's not okay. And so I think that, this goes on and on and on and on. And I say this to say that I think for Minority Mental Health Month, and just in general, because mental health is not just a month-long thing to care about. You got to care about your mental health for your whole life. I challenge a lot of Black people and a lot of minorities to look at your family dynamic. Are you happy? Do you feel like you're constantly being brought down? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel better when you're not around your family? And I challenge you to figure out with that knowledge what you want to do next. I will never tell anybody, hey, don't talk to your family. If that's your personal decision that you have to make. I think for some people, they realize that going very low contact is the best option. I think for some people, they realize that maybe not really being as involved or distancing themselves, or kind of just being on a very civil basis but not really having any outer relationship is the best choice. And I think everybody has to decide what works for them. But I think generally speaking, a lot of us have to look first at our family dynamic in order to really even tackle our mental health. So that's my little advice. And I do want to say that, it's not, you should not ever be ashamed about your mental health status. You should not ever be ashamed if you have to go to therapy. You should not ever be ashamed if you need help. And you should never be ashamed of the life that you had to live because it's not your fault. I think for like kids, for young adults, it's not your fault. You can't help who you had around you and what kind of whirlwind you had to deal with. But you can make a difference when you get old enough to realize that there is a problem. So that's where I want to end the podcast today. I would love to say, I hope that you guys could please, please, please go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe and rate and review, because that way it'll help the podcast to grow. Don't forget to search up the podcast on Spotify at the Life of Lex Podcast. We will be back on Soundcloud this week, so you can search there. And for all other links, you can visit thelifeoflex.libsyn.com. Please, please, please don't forget to leave ratings and reviews. And I will see you guys in a week from next Saturday, because remember, we're doing a bi-weekly schedule now. I hope you guys have a great week, and thank you for listening. Bye.